am from Weller Health Education at Lehigh Valley Health Network, Riley Children's Hospital. And I'm back with a new series called Workplace Readiness. And in this video, we're going to be talking about how to communicate using virtual platforms and the phone in the workplace. In our next video of our Workplace Readiness series, we're going to be talking about phone and virtual communication in the workplace. So starting off with phone, depending on the situation, it may be better and more appropriate to call coworkers, supervisors, or customers instead of emailing them. So first, always provide a friendly greeting. So an example of this could be, "Hi, this is Sarah from LVHN. How may I help you?" And then always end with a pleasantry and ensure that the person has had all their questions answered and their needs met, and that they have your contact information if they have more questions. So an example is, "Do you have any more questions? If not, thank you for calling and have a great day." Also, be sure that you speak clearly and not loudly. You don't want to come off as yelling, and slowly with a friendly tone. So some people, they may have to deal with poor cellular service, or there may be a lot of background noise, so it's important to speak clearly. In addition, use your active listening skills and allow for others to speak and think without interruption. Again, sometimes there could be a slight delay, so sometimes you just have to take a moment to pause and let the person respond to your questions. Also, be sure that you take notes. Sometimes you may have to share information with colleagues or supervisors, so it's important to have a piece of paper and a pen nearby so then you can take accurate and detailed notes. And your notes also include the caller's name, what organization they're from, if applicable, and their contact information, so you can reach back, coworkers or supervisors can reach back out to the caller for additional information or questions. And you may need to write it down in a message log if your organization has workers share their notes with coworkers and supervisors. And then finally, provide a short voicemail if necessary with your contact information and the organization you represent. And be sure that you speak slowly as you provide your contact information, especially your phone number. A good practice is to provide the phone number twice. So this is an example of how not to act on the phone. So at first, he was calm, but obviously towards the end you can see that he's basically screaming into the phone. So don't do that when you're on the phone. Again, speak clearly and calmly when you're on the phone with anybody. So this is an example of a message log that I was referring to before. So you have usually the caller information, the date, the time that they called, and then the message. So never put a person on hold without their permission. It's important to ask them first if you can put them on hold. And then if you do, be sure that you provide them with a progress update every 30 to 45 seconds, just so they don't feel like they were forgotten. And if the person is unable to hold, then just take a message from them and get their contact information. And if you do that, just be sure you get back to them before the end of the day. Also, don't transfer a caller without their knowledge. So before you transfer the call, just collect their information. So if the call drops, then you can call the caller back. Also provide the transfer number too, so they don't get lost, and the name of the individual that they'll be talking to. And then ask the person you are transferring the original caller to if they can take the call. So if the person can, provide them with the caller's information and why they're calling. And then return to the original caller and thank them for waiting and let them know that the person is expecting their call. Also, avoid covering your hand over the speaker or putting it against your chest, because chances are that the person on the other side can still hear you and understand what you're saying. So it's better to ask if you can put them on hold. And then finally, avoid using speakerphone often. Sometimes it can be loud and it may sound like you're in a cave, but sometimes speakerphone is necessary if there is important information that is being shared on the phone and another person has to be in on the conversation. However, if there's more than 3 people on the conversation, then it's probably best to move the meeting in person or on a virtual platform such as Zoom, so then everyone can understand and hear what everyone is saying to each other. Now we're going to move on to virtual communication. So, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many organizations had to meet virtually using a variety of platforms. Some platforms include Google Meets, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom. Now, when logging into a meeting, be sure that you hop on the meeting a couple minutes before just to make sure that your microphone and your speaker is working and that your internet connection is secure. And then if you wish to speak, use the raise your hand option. And then once you're able to speak, don't forget to unmute yourself, because sometimes you may forget to unmute yourself when you're speaking, or you may not realize that you're still unmuted. Also, if you're sharing your screen, be sure it's prepared and ready to go. Be sure that you're sharing the correct screen. For instance, there's the whole screen versus a specific item option that you have. So just be sure if you want to share a document, for instance, that you're showing the correct document instead of a Google Chrome open window. And if your camera is on, be sure you look professional and engaged, and make sure that your background is clear of clutter. So in this video, you can see a woman politely greeting her coworkers or her clients on the computer, and that's a really great example of how you should be greeting those when you log into a meeting. So be sure that you always start meetings with a greeting or with introductions. So spend the first few minutes getting to know each other or just catching up. Also, avoid joining meetings in a busy, loud location. If you do, just be sure that you have headphones, but try to avoid joining in those really loud locations, because it can make it really challenging to hear what you're saying, or can make it hard to hear what others are saying. So try and find a quiet location to log into your virtual meetings. Also, avoid working on other things during the meeting, especially if your camera is on. Because remember, if your camera is on, everyone can see what you're doing. It's basically like an in-person meeting. So for instance, if you're looking down at your cell phone, everyone can see it. It's very noticeable. So again, if your camera's on, be sure that you look professional and engaged. And you can minimize distractions by closing down unrelated windows or tabs, making the meeting full screen, turning off your cell phone, taking notes. And also, avoid interrupting others. Wait for the speaker to finish their thoughts and ideas so everyone on the call can hear clearly. So if everyone is talking all at once, no one can hear anything. So it's really important to pause for a moment when asking a question and allow for a response, because again, there may be a delayed response because of a slight transmission delay. So this is a really great example of being aware of what's going on when you're on camera. So make sure that if you're recording from the waist up, then you're a professional from the waist up. Thank you for watching another video in our Workplace Readiness series. I hope you enjoyed the video, and be sure to check out our other videos where we talk about email communication and in-person communication in the workplace. See you soon!